Marcus Chen's eyes opened slowly in the darkness of his quarters. His body ached everywhere. Every muscle screamed from exhaustion. He had worked 72 hours straight without proper sleep. The environmental systems on Kepler 7 station had been failing, and no one else could fix them. 300 lives depended on him getting it right. He blinked and tried to focus. Something was wrong. There was someone in his room. Marcus sat up fast, his heart pounding. The dim emergency lights showed a figure standing near his desk. A woman. She had pale blue skin that seemed to glow softly in the darkness. Her eyes were large and golden. Her hair moved slightly like it was floating in water, even though the artificial gravity was working fine. She was Valxian. "One of the aliens who built this station. Who are you?" Marcus asked, his voice rough from sleep. "How did you get in here?" The woman stepped forward. She moved gracefully, her hands clasped in front of her. "My name is Lyrith. I was sent here by Commander Thexrel. Please do not be alarmed." Marcus reached for the light controls. The room brightened. He could see her more clearly now. She wore simple gray robes that the Valxian civilians preferred. Her face showed nervousness, but also something else. Pride, maybe? Sent here? Why? Marcus pulled his blanket up, suddenly aware he was only wearing his sleep clothes. "It's the middle of the night cycle." Lyrith smiled, but it looked uncertain. "You saved the station. You worked without rest while our own engineers failed. You did what we could not do. The commander wanted to honor you properly." Marcus rubbed his face. He was too tired for this. "Honor me? Look, if this is about a ceremony or something, can it wait until morning? I just need sleep." "No, you misunderstand." Lyrith took another step closer. "I am the honor. I volunteered to be your reward. I am here to stay with you, to serve you, to be your companion for as long as you wish." The words hit Marcus like cold water. He was suddenly very awake. "What?" No. He stood up quickly. "That's not. Humans don't do that. We don't accept people as rewards. That's not okay." Lyrith's golden eyes widened. Her hands trembled slightly. "I do not understand. This is a great honor among my people. Only the most respected individuals receive such recognition. I gave up my position to volunteer for this role." Marcus felt sick to his stomach. "Your position? What did you do before this?" "I was a data analyst. Level 3. I had worked for 6 years in the station's information systems department." Lyrith's voice was quiet now. "But when Commander Thexrel announced he wanted to honor you, I applied immediately." "Many applied." "I was chosen because I watched you work. I saw how you never gave up. How you cared about saving everyone, even though we are not your people. You quit your job for this?" Marcus couldn't believe what he was hearing. "Why would you do that?" Lyrith looked confused by his confusion. "Because it is the highest honor. To be chosen as a companion to a hero brings great respect to my family. My parents were so proud when I told them." My younger sister cried with joy. Marcus sat back down on his bed. This was a nightmare. "Lyrith, listen to me. In human culture, people are not rewards. We don't give people to each other as gifts. Every person has the right to choose their own path. Do you understand?" "But I did choose," Lyrith said, her voice stronger now. "I chose this. I wanted this honor, because your culture told you it was an honor," Marcus replied. "But I'm telling you right now, I don't want this. You need to leave. Go back to your quarters. Talk to the commander about getting your old job back." Lyrith's face changed. The pride disappeared. She looked hurt and then frightened. "I cannot leave. If you reject me, it will bring terrible shame. Not just to me, but to my entire family. Everyone will know that I was not good enough. That the hero found me unworthy? That's not fair," Marcus said. "I'm not rejecting you as a person. I'm rejecting the whole idea. It's my people. There is no difference." Lyrith's hands were shaking now. "And I cannot return to my position. I resigned formally. That decision cannot be undone easily. If you send me away, I will have no job, no honor, and no future on this station." Marcus put his head in his hands. How had saving the station turned into this mess? There has to be a solution. I'll talk to the commander. I'll explain that this is a cultural misunderstanding. He will not understand either, Lyrith said softly. To him, refusing this honor is insulting. He chose me carefully because he wanted to give you the best reward possible. If you reject it, he may think humans are ungrateful, or that you disrespect Valxian traditions. But I do respect your traditions. Marcus looked up at her. I just can't accept a tradition that treats people like property. I do not see it that way, Lyrith said. She moved to sit on the floor, keeping a respectful distance. In our culture, this is like your human marriages, perhaps? A bond between two people that honors both of them. The companion gains status and security. The hero gains assistance and partnership. It is mutual respect. Marcus wanted to argue that it still wasn't the same thing, but he could see tears forming in Lyrith's golden eyes. She wasn't a slave or property in her mind. She genuinely believed she was offering something valuable and was being rejected. I'm too tired to figure this out right now, Marcus finally said. It's been 3 days since I slept properly. My brain isn't working right. Then sleep, Lyrith said quietly. I will stay here in the corner. I will not disturb you. In the morning, we can speak with Commander Thexrel together if you wish. You're not going to leave, are you? Marcus asked, though he already knew the answer. I have nowhere else to go, Lyrith replied. I already gave up my quarters when I accepted this assignment. Please, just let me stay tonight. Tomorrow, we will find a solution that works for both our cultures. Marcus looked at her sitting there on the floor of his room, looking lost and scared despite her earlier pride. He thought about how she had given up everything based on what her culture told her was right. How she was now trapped between two different sets of values. He grabbed his extra blanket and tossed it to her. Fine, you can sleep over there tonight. But tomorrow, we're fixing this situation. Properly. Lyrith caught the blanket and held it close. Thank you, Marcus Chen. You are as kind as I hoped you would be. Marcus lay back down and turned off the lights. He stared at the ceiling in the darkness, listening to Lyrith settle into the corner with the blanket. His mind raced with all the problems this situation created. He had survived 72 hours of desperate repairs to save the station. Now he faced an even more complicated problem. How do you honor someone's culture while also standing by your own values? How do you help someone who thinks they're doing the right thing but got caught in a system neither of you fully understood? Tomorrow he would talk to the commander. Tomorrow he would figure something out. Tonight, he just needed to sleep. But sleep was a long time coming. Part 2, Cultural Collision Morning, came too quickly for Marcus. He woke to find Lyrith already awake, sitting in the same corner with the blanket folded neatly beside her. She looked like she hadn't slept at all. Her golden eyes watched him carefully, waiting. Marcus sat up and rubbed his face. The exhaustion still pulled at him, but at least he could think more clearly now. Did you sleep? A little, Lyrith answered softly. I did not want to disturb you, right? Marcus stood and grabbed his uniform from the chair. Wait outside while I get dressed. Then we're going to see Commander Thexrel and sort this out. Lyrith nodded and stepped into the corridor. Marcus changed quickly, his mind already working through what he would say to the commander. This whole situation was wrong, but he needed to fix it without insulting the Valxians or ruining Lyrith's life in the process. 10 minutes later, they stood outside the commander's office. The door slid open before Marcus could press the call button. Commander Thexrel sat behind his desk, his 4 arms moving across multiple data screens at once. He was older than most Valxians on the station, his blue skin darker and marked with patterns that showed his rank. Engineer Chen. The commander's voice was deep and formal. I trust you are pleased with the honor we have given you. Marcus took a breath. Stay calm. Be respectful. Commander, I appreciate the intention behind your gesture, but there has been a misunderstanding. In human culture, we don't accept people as rewards. I need to respectfully decline this honor. All 4 of Thexrel's arms stopped moving. His large eyes focused completely on Marcus. The silence stretched for several seconds. Decline? The commander's voice had changed. It was colder now. You find Lyrith unsuitable? She was chosen carefully. She has excellent qualifications and comes from a respected family. That's not what I mean, Marcus said quickly. I'm sure Lyrith is very qualified. But humans believe that people should choose their own paths freely. We don't give people to each other as gifts or rewards, no matter how well-intentioned. Dexrel leaned back in his chair. Two of his hands folded together while the other two gestured in what Marcus had learned was a sign of deep confusion. But she did choose freely. She volunteered. Many volunteered. This is not slavery, Engineer Chen. This is honor. I understand that in your culture, Marcus started. Do you? Dexrel interrupted. Lyrith gave up a promising career to accept this role. She underwent 3 days of interviews and evaluations to be selected. Her family celebrated her achievement. And now you stand here after one night and reject her. Do you understand what that means in our culture? Marcus felt Lyrith tense beside him. He glanced at her and saw fear in her eyes again. Commander, I'm trying to respect both our cultures here, Marcus said. But I can't accept a tradition that goes against my core values. I cannot understand values that treat honor as an insult, Dexrel replied. His voice was firm but not angry. He was genuinely confused. You saved 300 lives on this station. Valxian lives. We wanted to show our deepest gratitude. We chose our most meaningful tradition. And you throw it back at us. Marcus felt the conversation slipping away from him. What if we found a compromise? What if Lyrith returned to her job, and you honored me in some other way? She cannot return easily, Dexrel said. When someone accepts the companion role, they formally sever their previous employment. It is part of the commitment that makes the honor meaningful. If she returns now, rejected, she will be seen as, how do humans say it? Damaged goods. That's not fair to her, Marcus protested. Life is not always fair, Engineer Chen. Dexrel's eyes moved to Lyrith. She knew the risks when she applied. She accepted them because the honor was worth it. Now that honor has been taken from her, because you do not understand our ways. Alith spoke for the first time. Commander, please do not blame Engineer Chen. He is following his own cultural values as is proper. Perhaps. Perhaps there is a middle path. What middle path? Dexrel asked. Lyrith hesitated, then continued. What if Engineer Chen allows me to stay as his assistant? Not as a traditional companion, but as someone who helps with his work? I have data analysis skills. Perhaps they could be useful to him. That way, the honor is maintained, but adapted to human preferences. Marcus looked at her in surprise. She was trying to save the situation for both of them. Dexrel considered this. An assistant? That is not traditional, but he looked at Marcus. Would this be acceptable to you, Engineer Chen? Marcus wanted to say no. He wanted none of this. But looking at Lyrith, seeing how much she was trying to make this work, seeing how much she had already lost, he couldn't just walk away. Temporarily, Marcus said finally, until we figure out a better solution. And only as a work assistant, with clear professional boundaries. Agreed. Lyrith said quickly before the commander could object. Dexrel made a gesture with his hands that Marcus didn't recognize. Very well, this is ... unusual, but perhaps it is appropriate that a human hero would find a human solution. Engineer Chen, you may take Lyrith as your technical assistant. She will help with your duties. But know this, if you treat her poorly or reject her completely, it will not be forgotten. Understood. Commander. Marcus felt like he had just agreed to something he didn't fully understand. But at least it was better than the original situation. They left the office together. In the corridor, Marcus turned to Lyrith. You didn't have to do that. Yes, I did, she replied. You were right that our cultures have different values, but you were also trying to help me in your way. The least I could do was try to help you in mine. So what now? Marcus asked. Now you go to engineering, and I go with you. Lyrith's expression became more businesslike. You said I would be your technical assistant. I take that role seriously. Tell me what you need. Marcus had to report to the Water Reclamation Center. One of the backup systems was showing odd readings. It wasn't critical yet, but after the recent crisis, every small problem made people nervous. Lyrith followed him through the station corridors. Other Valkyrians they passed looked surprised to see them together. Some whispered to each other. Marcus tried to ignore the attention. The Water Reclamation Center was a large space filled with tanks, pipes, and filtration systems. The Valksan engineer on duty, a younger male named Pexrin, looked relieved to see Marcus. Engineer Chen, thank goodness. The system is functioning, but the efficiency has dropped by 12%. I have run every diagnostic I know, but I cannot find the cause. Marcus approached the main control panel and started reviewing the data. Lyrith stood beside him, watching the screens carefully. Show me the flow rates for the past week, Marcus said. Pexrin pulled up the information. Marcus studied it, looking for patterns. This was what he was good at, seeing how systems actually worked, not just how they were supposed to work according to the design. There, Lyrith said suddenly, pointing at one of the screens. The pressure variance in Sector 7. It follows a pattern. Marcus looked where she pointed. She was right. Every 6 hours there was a small pressure fluctuation. It was so small that the automated systems ignored it. But over time, those small changes were adding up. Pexrin, when was the last maintenance on the pressure regulators in Sector 7? Marcus asked. The Valkyrian engineer checked his records. 4 months ago. They were functioning within normal parameters. But not optimal parameters, Lyrith said, her eyes still on the data. The regulation is 0.3% slower than design specifications. Small enough to pass inspection, but over 4 months, it has caused a cascading effect on the entire system.
Oh my gosh.
Marcus stared at her. How did you see that? I've been looking at this data for 10 minutes. I am a data analyst, Lyrith said simply. Pattern recognition is what I was trained to do. You were looking for mechanical failures. I was looking for mathematical patterns. Marcus felt something shift in his mind. He had been so focused on the cultural problem that he hadn't thought about what Lyrith could actually do. She saw things differently than he did. That could actually be useful. Pexrin, replace the regulators in Sector 7, Marcus ordered. Mark them for detailed inspection to find out why they're running slow. Yes, Engineer Chen. Pexrin moved to follow the orders. Marcus turned to Lyrith. That was good work. Thank you. She looked pleased. Perhaps this arrangement will benefit both of us after all, maybe Marcus admitted. Come on, I want to check the environmental controls in Section 12. If you can spot patterns in that data too, we might prevent problems before they start. They work together for the rest of the shift. Marcus brought his hands on mechanical knowledge. Lyrith brought her ability to see patterns in data that Marcus would have missed. Pexrin and the other Valkyrian engineers watched them work, clearly surprised at how well they complemented each other. By the end of the day, they had identified and fixed 3 small problems that could have become major issues. Marcus was exhausted again, but it was a good exhaustion this time. As they walked back toward the living quarters, Lyrith spoke quietly. Thank you for giving this a chance, Marcus Chen. Just Marcus is fine, he said. And you're welcome, Lyrith. I still think this whole situation is weird, but you did good work today. So did you. She paused. I have been assigned quarters next to yours. Is that acceptable? As long as they're separate quarters? Yes. Marcus stopped at his door. Get some rest. Tomorrow we'll probably have more problems to solve. I look forward to it, Lyrith said. And she actually seemed to mean it. Marcus entered his quarters and collapsed on his bed. The situation was still strange and uncomfortable, but maybe, just maybe, they could make it work. The cultural collision hadn't destroyed everything. Maybe it would create something new instead. Part 3. The sabotage discovery 3 weeks passed. Marcus and Lyrith fell into a routine that surprised both of them. They worked together every day, solving problems across the station. Marcus provided the mechanical intuition and hands-on fixes. Lyrith analyzed data and spotted patterns that predicted where problems would occur. Next, the other crew members started calling them the odd pair. Some Valkyrians still whispered about the unusual arrangement, but they couldn't argue with results. Equipment failures had dropped by 40% since Marcus and Lyrith started. Working as a team, it was during a routine inspection. of the life support systems that Lyrith noticed something strange.
Yes.
Look at this. She pointed at her datapad. They were in one of the smaller maintenance tunnels, checking oxygen distribution nodes. The failure patterns over the past 6 months. They seem random at first, but when I map them, there is a pattern. Marcus wiped grease from his hands and looked at her screen. What kind of pattern? The failures happen in different systems, but they always happen in pairs. One major system fails, drawing everyone's attention. Then 6 to 8 hours later, a minor system fails that no one notices because they are still fixing the major problem. It could just be stress on the systems. Marcus said, but his instincts were already tingling. Something felt wrong. I thought so too, Lyrith continued. But look at the minor failures. They all involve data systems or monitoring equipment. And in each case, the failure is caused by a specific type of error. The same type of error, Marcus. Every single time, Marcus felt cold. Show me the error logs. Lyrith pulled up the detailed records. Marcus read through them carefully. She was right. The same coding error appeared in multiple systems across months. It was subtle, the kind of thing that could look like a programming bug. But it appeared to many times in too many different systems. This isn't accidental, Marcus said slowly. Someone is doing this on purpose. Sabotage. Lyrith's voice was barely a whisper. But why? Who would want to damage the station? I don't know, but we need to find out, Marcus thought for a moment. Can you trace where these errors originated? Find out who programmed them into the systems. I can try. Lyrith's fingers moved across her datapad quickly. It will take time. The errors are hidden well. Whoever did this knows our systems very well. Do it, Marcus said. But be careful. If someone is sabotaging the station, they might not like us investigating. They worked late into the night. Lyrith sat at Marcus's desk in his quarters, surrounded by data screens. Marcus brought her food and made sure she took breaks. He tried to review her work, but the level of code analysis was beyond his mechanical engineering training. I found something, Lyrith said suddenly. It was almost midnight. The errors were introduced through maintenance updates. Someone with high-level access to the system uploaded code that looked normal, but contained hidden instructions to cause failures later. Who has that kind of access? Marcus asked. Senior engineers and command staff. Lyrith looked worried. I can narrow it down by checking the specific updates, but Marcus... This will identify someone important. Someone with authority. We have to know, Marcus said firmly. People's lives are at risk. Lyrith nodded and kept working. An hour later, she found it. Corthon Velxus showed Marcus the screen. He is a senior environmental systems engineer. He has been with the station since it was built. He uploaded the corrupted code through legitimate maintenance channels over the past 8 months. Marcus knew. Corthon. He was a serious Valxian who rarely spoke to the human engineers. He had seemed annoyed whenever Marcus fixed something, but Marcus had assumed it was just professional pride. Are you sure? Marcus asked. The logs are clear. Lyrith looked sad. Corthon did this, but I do not understand why. He is respected. He has a good position. Why would he try to destroy the station? Let's go ask him, Marcus said, reaching for his communicator. Wait, Lyrith grabbed his arm. If we are wrong, we will ruin his reputation. If we are right, and he knows we discovered him, he might do something desperate. We need to think about this carefully. Marcus paused. She was right. Okay. Tomorrow we talk to Commander Thextrel first. We show him the evidence. Let him decide how to handle it. They didn't get the chance. The next morning, Marcus and Lyrith were walking to the commander's office when alarms started blaring. Red warning lights flashed throughout the corridor. Attention all personnel, the station's automated voice announced. Multiple system failures detected. Hull breach in Section 9. Power fluctuations in the main reactor. All crew report to emergency stations. Marcus and Lyrith ran toward the nearest emergency panel. The display showed chaos. 3 major systems were failing at once. This was bigger than anything that had happened before. This is wrong, Lyrith said, her voice tight with fear. This is too much, too fast. Even the sabotage systems were not this aggressive.
Nice.
Marcus understood what she meant. He knows. Corthon knows we found him. This is a distraction. A distraction from what? That's when Marcus saw it on the emergency display. A small ship had just undocked from the station's lower bay. A one-person transport. He's running. Marcus grabbed his communicator. Commander Thexrol, this is Engineer Chen. We have evidence that Engineer Corthan Valxis has been sabotaging the station. He just launched a transport and is escaping. The commander's voice came back immediately. What evidence? Chen, this better not be. I am sending you the data logs now, Lyrith interrupted, her fingers flying over her pad. Multiple instances of deliberate system corruption over 8 months, all traced to Corthon's access codes. There was a pause. Then Nextral's voice returned, harder and angrier. Security teams, intercept that transport. Engineering teams, focus on the reactor. Chen, can you stabilize it? Marcus pulled up the reactor status on his pad. His blood ran cold. Commander, the reactor isn't just fluctuating. It's going into cascade failure. He triggered something that's making it overheat. If we don't stop it, the containment will breach. How long do we have? Marcus did quick calculations. 20 minutes, maybe less. The evacuation will take at least 30 minutes, Thexral said. Chen, you have to fix this. I'm on my way. Marcus grabbed Lyrith's hand. Come on. They ran through the corridors. Other crew members were running too, heading for escape pods and evacuation points. The alarm kept blaring. The lights flickered as power systems struggled. The reactor room was in the central core of the station. By the time Marcus and Lyrith arrived, 2 other engineers were already there, looking panicked at the control screens. What's happening? Marcus demanded. The cooling system is shutting down, one of the engineers said. His name was Raxton, but we cannot override it. The commands are locked out. Marcus looked at the screens. The reactor temperature was rising steadily. The containment field was still holding, but it was designed for normal operating temperatures. Once the heat passed a certain threshold, the field would fail. Then the reactor would melt down, destroying the entire station. Corthon locked the controls, Lyrith said, analyzing the system. He used his access codes to create an override that blocks all commands. Only his codes can unlock it now. Can you break the lock? Marcus asked. Not in time. The encryption is too complex. Lyrith's face was pale, but her voice stayed steady. But Marcus, we do not need to break the lock. We can bypass the system entirely. How? The cooling system has manual controls. Emergency backups that existed before the digital systems were installed. They are old and crude, but they should still work. Marcus felt hope spark. Where are they? In the access tunnel beneath the reactor chamber, Lyrith pulled up a station schematic. Here, but Marcus, that area will be flooded with radiation. The automated system shut down the shielding in that section as part of the sabotage. Marcus looked at the screen. The temperature was still rising. 15 minutes left. Maybe less. I'll go, he said. Walk me through what I need to do. The radiation will kill you, Raxton said. Even a few minutes of exposure, then I'll work fast. Marcus headed for the access hatch. Wait, Lyrith grabbed his arm again. Marcus, I should go instead. What? No way. Valxians have higher radiation resistance than humans. Our homeworld's sun produces more radiation than Earth's. We evolved to handle it. Lyrith's golden eyes were bright with determination and fear. I will survive longer than you would. Long enough to restart the cooling system? Marcus wanted to argue. Every instinct told him not to let her go into danger. But the rational part of his brain knew she was right. She had a better chance of surviving the radiation. How much better is your resistance? He asked. Valxians can handle perhaps 3 times the radiation dose that would kill a human. Lyrith's voice shook slightly. But Marcus, the level's down there. Even for me, it will be very dangerous. The reactor display flashed red. Temperature, critical. 14 minutes. If I talk you through it from here, can you do the repairs? Marcus asked. Yes. Then go. Now. Lyrith moved to the access hatch. Raxton opened it for her. A ladder led down into darkness. The radiation warning lights blinked red around the opening. Lyrith. Marcus caught her before she descended. Be fast. Get in, restart the cooling system, and get out. Don't try to be a hero, she smiled, sad and scared. I am not the hero, Marcus. I am just the assistant. You are the one who will tell me what to do. Then she climbed down into the darkness. Marcus turned to the control screens and opened a communication channel. Lyrith, can you hear me? Yes. Her voice came through, slightly distorted. I am at the bottom of the ladder. I see the manual controls. Good. Now listen carefully. Marcus pulled up the schematics. His hands were shaking, but his voice stayed calm. You should see 3 large wheels. Red, blue, and green. Turn the blue one first, counterclockwise, 10 full rotations. In the tunnel below, Lyrith found the wheels. They were old and covered in dust. No one had touched them in years. She grabbed the blue wheel and started turning. It was hard. The wheel was stiff from disuse, and the air down here felt wrong. She could taste the radiation, metallic and bitter. Blue wheel, 10 rotations, complete, she reported. Good. Now, the red wheel. 5 rotations clockwise. Lyrith moved to the red wheel. Her hands were starting to tingle. The radiation was already affecting her. But she pushed through and turned the wheel. Above, Marcus watched the reactor temperature. It was still rising, but slower now. It's working. Keep going. What next? Lyrith's voice was getting weaker. The green wheel. This is the main coolant valve. Turn it counterclockwise until you can't turn it anymore. Then push the reset lever above it. Lyrith grabbed the green wheel. This one was even stiffer. She pulled with all her strength. Her arms burned. Her skin felt like it was on fire. The wheel moved. 1 rotation, 2, 3. Lyrith, the temperature is dropping, Marcus said. Hope filled his voice. You're doing it. Just a little more. 4 rotations. 5. 6. Lyrith's vision was starting to blur. 7 rotations. 8. The wheel stopped turning. She looked up and found the reset lever. With the last of her strength, she pulled it above. The control screen showed the cooling system coming back online. The reactor temperature began dropping rapidly. The cascade failure stopped. They had done it. Lyrith, get out of there, Marcus shouted into the communicator. Now, but there was no response. Lyrith. Marcus ran to the access hatch and looked down. He couldn't see her. Lyrith, answer me. Still nothing. Marcus didn't think. He just moved. He climbed down the ladder into the radiation zone, ignoring Raxton's shouts of warning. At the bottom, he found Lyrith collapsed on the floor. Her blue skin looked gray. Her eyes were closed. Marcus grabbed her and threw her over his shoulder. His body screamed at him. He could feel the radiation like insects crawling on his skin. But he climbed the ladder, step by step, carrying Lyrith with him. He made it to the top and fell through the hatch. Raxton slammed it closed behind them. Medical team to reactor control, Raxton shouted into his communicator. Radiation exposure, 2 casualties. Marcus crawled to Lyrith. Her eyes opened slightly. Did it work? She whispered. Yes, Marcus said, his voice breaking. You saved everyone. She smiled. Good, that is. That is what heroes do. Then she closed her eyes again. The medical team arrived and took them both away. The last thing Marcus saw before they sedated him was Lyrith being rushed away on a medical transport. Her gray skin stark against the white sheets. They had stopped the sabotage. They had saved the station. But Marcus didn't care about any of that right now. He only cared about whether Lyrith would survive what she had done to save them all. Part 4. Against the clock, Marcus woke up in the medical bay. His whole body hurt. Valxian doctor stood beside his bed, running a scanner over him. How bad is it? Marcus asked. His throat felt like sand. You received significant radiation exposure, the doctor said, but you were only in the contaminated zone for approximately 2 minutes. With treatment, you will recover fully within a week. Lyrith. Marcus tried to sit up. Where is she? The doctor gently pushed him back down. She is in intensive care. Her exposure was much more severe. She was in the radiation zone for nearly 8 minutes. But she'll be okay, right? You said Valxians are more resistant to radiation. The doctor's expression was difficult to read. She is, but even Valxian physiology has limits. She received almost 4 times the lethal dose for a human. For a Valxian, that is still extremely dangerous. The next 48 hours will be critical. Marcus felt sick, and it wasn't from the radiation. I need to see her. You need to rest. Radiation treatment. I need to see her, Marcus repeated. His voice harder. The doctor studied him for a moment, then nodded. Very well, but you must remain in a wheelchair. Your body's too weak for walking yet. They brought Marcus a wheelchair. He felt foolish being pushed through the medical bay like an invalid, but he didn't care. He needed to know that Lyrith was alive. She was in a private room, surrounded by medical equipment. Monitors beeped softly. Her skin was still that terrible gray color, like all the blue had been drained from it. Her eyes were closed. She looked small and fragile in the medical bed. Marcus rolled his wheelchair close and took her hand. It was cold. I'm here, Lyrith, he said softly. I don't know if you can hear me, but I'm here. You did it. You saved everyone. The station is safe. She didn't respond. The monitors continued their steady beeping. Marcus stayed there for hours. Nurses came and went, checking her vital signs, adjusting medications. The doctor returned several times. Each time, Marcus asked the same question. Is she getting better? Each time, the doctor gave the same answer. It is too early to tell. On the second day, Commander Thexrel came to visit. He stood at the foot of Lyrith's bed, all 4 of his arms folded in a gesture of respect. The security teams captured Corthan before he reached the system boundary, Thexrel said. He has confessed to everything. The sabotage, the reactor attack, all of it. Why? Marcus asked. He hadn't left Lyrith's side except when the doctors forced him to go for treatment. Why would he do it? Thexrel was quiet for a moment. Pride. Resentment. When this station was built, we Valxians were proud of our engineering. We believed we could maintain it ourselves. Then things started failing and we could not fix them. We had to call for help from humans, a younger species with less advanced technology. So he was embarrassed that we could fix things he couldn't? Marcus felt anger building. Not just embarrassed, humiliated. Every time you solved a problem our engineers could not, it hurt his pride. He believed you were making us look weak and foolish. Thexrel looked at Marcus. He was not alone in feeling this way. Many of our crew struggled with the same feelings. So they wanted us to fail, Marcus said bitterly. Some did, yes. But Corthan took it further. He decided that if our systems kept failing because of human repairs, he would prove that humans were not as capable as they appeared. He sabotaged systems in ways that would require complex fixes, hoping you would fail publicly. But I didn't fail, Marcus said. No, you succeeded. Every time. And that made him more desperate. Thexrel looked at Lyrith. When he learned that you and Lyrith discovered his sabotage, he panicked. He triggered the reactor cascade to cover his escape. He did not care that it would kill everyone on the station. His pride was more important than 300 lives. Marcus squeezed Lyrith's cold hand. She nearly died because of his pride. She risked her life because of her courage. Thexrel corrected gently. There is a difference. Corthan will be tried and punished according to our laws. The other crew members who shared his resentment are cooperating with our investigation. They did not know about the sabotage, but they did nothing to stop the hostile environment toward human engineers. What happens now? Marcus asked. Now we rebuild. It's not just our systems, but our culture. Thexrel moved closer. We and Lyrith have shown us what is possible when Valxians and humans work together. Your partnership saved this station twice. Once through your regular work preventing failures, and once by stopping Corthan. Others need to learn that lesson. Right now I don't care about lessons, Marcus said. I just want her to wake up. Thexrel placed one of his hands on Marcus's shoulder. So do I, Engineer Chen. So do I. On the third day, Lyrith opened her eyes. Marcus had dozed off in his wheelchair, his head resting on the edge of her bed. He woke to the feeling of something moving under his hand. He looked up to see Lyrith's golden eyes looking at him.
Ice.
She whispered. Her voice was rough and weak, but it was her voice. Lyrith. Marcus felt tears on his face. He hadn't even realized he was crying. You're awake. You're okay. I feel terrible, she said, but she smiled slightly. How long have I been asleep? 3 days. Her eyes widened. 3 days. But the station. Did we saved it? Marcus assured her quickly. The reactor is fine. Everyone is safe. You did it, Lyrith. You saved 300 lives. She closed her eyes, relieved. Good, that is good. The doctor rushed in, alerted by the change in her vital signs. He ran scanners over her and checked her monitors. After several minutes, he stepped back. Remarkable, he said. Her radiation levels are decreasing faster than expected. Her body is recovering, so she will be okay, Marcus asked, afraid to hope. With time and continued treatment, yes, she will recover fully. The doctor looked at Lyrith with something like awe. You are very fortunate and very strong. Not strong, Lyrith whispered, just determined. Over the next week, Lyrith slowly improved. Her skin regained its blue color, though it would remain darker than before, marked permanently by the radiation. She could sit up, then stand, then walk short distances. Marcus visited every day. Even after he was released from his own treatment, brought her food, read to her from data pads, and talked about all the repairs the station still needed. You know, Lyrith said one day, when I volunteered to be your reward, I did not think it would involve nearly dying from radiation exposure. Marcus laughed, surprising himself. It was the first time he'd laughed since the incident. Refused to accept you as a reward. I didn't think it would end with me refusing to leave your hospital room. Things changed, Lyrith said softly. Yes, they did. Marcus looked at her seriously. Lyrith, when you went down into that radiation zone, I was terrified. Not because we might lose the station, because I might lose you. She met his eyes. I was terrified too. But I trusted you to guide me through it, and you did. We make a good team, Marcus said. We do, Lyrith agreed, not because of cultural traditions or obligations. Because we choose to be. Is that enough? Marcus asked. For you, I mean, you gave up so much to accept this position. And it turned out so differently than you expected. Lyrith was quiet for a moment. When I volunteered, I thought I was accepting a great honor, a position of status and respect. I thought I would serve a hero, and that would make me important. And now I know that I am important because of what I do, not because of who I serve. She smiled at him. Marcus, by refusing to accept me as a reward, by treating me as an equal, you showed me that I have value on my own. You always had value, Marcus said. I just couldn't accept a system that didn't recognize it. I could not see past that system until you forced me to. Lyrith reached out and took his hand. So yes, it is enough. More than enough. This partnership we have built is worth more than any traditional honor. There was a knock on the door. Commander Thesero entered, followed by several other Valxian officers. They all wore formal attire. Lyrith Engineer Chen, Dextrel said formally. The Station Council has reviewed the events of the past weeks. We have completed our investigation into the sabotage and made decisions about the station's future. Marcus and Lyrith exchanged glances. First, we owe you both a great debt, Dextrel continued. Your actions saved 300 lives and exposed a conspiracy that threatened the entire station. For this, we wish to honor you. Commander Marcus started. We don't need. Dextrel raised a hand. I know that you do not want traditional rewards, Engineer Chen, so we offer something different. We want to create a new position on this station. A joint engineering and analysis department that combines mechanical expertise with data analysis. We want you and Lyrith to lead it. Marcus looked at Lyrith. She looked back at him, hope and excitement in her eyes. We would report to you, Marcus asked. You would work with me, Dextrel corrected. This would be a senior position with authority over both Valxian and human engineering staff. You would help us build the kind of integrated approach that your partnership has demonstrated. What about the crew members who resented having humans here? Lyreth asked. They are being reassigned or undergoing additional training in cultural cooperation, Dexrel said. Corthan's actions have made us realize that pride and resentment can destroy us. We must do better. You can help us do better, Marcus thought about it. Leading a department. Building something new. Working with Lyrith not just as partners but as co-leaders. Creating a model for how humans and Valxians could truly work together. What do you think? He asked Lyrith. She smiled, and for the first time since the radiation exposure, it was her full, genuine smile. I think we should accept. We make a good team, remember? We do, Marcus agreed. He turned to Dexrel. We accept. Under one condition. What condition? No more talk about rewards or honors or traditional roles. We do this as equals, human and Valxian, working together because we choose to, because it's the right thing to do. Dexrel made a gesture with his hands that Marcus now recognized as agreement and respect. Agreed, Engineer Chen. No more old traditions. We will build new ones together. After the commander and his officers left, Marcus and Lyrith sat together in comfortable silence. So Lyrith said finally, co-leaders of a new department. That is quite different from where we started. And Marcus agreed. From unwanted reward to equal partner to co-leader. That's been quite a journey, and it almost killed us both, Lyrith added. Marcus laughed again. True, but we survived. And now we get to build something new. Together, Lyrith said. Together, Marcus agreed. Outside the medical bay window, the stars shone bright and steady. The station hummed with life, its systems running smoothly. Somewhere in the distance, human and Valxian engineers worked side by side, learning from each other, building trust one repair at a time. It wasn't the ending anyone had expected, but it was the beginning of something better. Part 5. True Partnership 2 months after the sabotage incident. Marcus stood in front of what would become the new Joint Engineering and Analysis Department headquarters. The space was large, taking up an entire section of the station's technical level. Empty now, but full of potential. Lyrith walked up beside him, her step steady and confident again. The gray tint to her skin had faded somewhat, though it would never completely disappear. The doctors said it was like a scar, a permanent reminder of what she had endured. She wore it without shame. It's a good space, she said, looking around. Large enough for 20 workstations, multiple analysis labs, and a central coordination area. We're going to need all of it, Marcus replied. He held up a datapad. Dexrel sent me the list of personnel being assigned to us. 12 Valxians and 8 humans to start. 20 people reporting to us, Lyrith said softly. That is more responsibility than I ever imagined having. Nervous? Marcus asked. It's terrified, she admitted with a small smile. You, same. Marcus looked at the empty space. But we can do this. We've already proven that human and Valxian approaches work better together than apart. Over the next week, they worked to set up the department. They designed the space to encourage collaboration. No separate human and Valxian sections. Instead, mixed teams with shared workstations. Engineers paired with data analysts. Mechanical specialists working alongside systems specialists. Some of the crew members were enthusiastic about the arrangement. Others were skeptical, and a few were openly resistant. On the first official day, Marcus and Lyrith stood before their new team. 20 faces looked back at them. Some curious, some uncertain, some clearly unhappy to be there. Marcus took a breath and began. I know some of you don't want to be here. I know some of you requested transfers to other departments. Commander Vextrel denied those requests because he believes, and we believe, that this integrated approach is the future of this station. He paused, making eye contact with the most skeptical faces. 2 months ago, sabotage nearly destroyed this station. That sabotage happened because someone believed that humans and Valxians couldn't work together, that one species was better than the other. He was willing to kill 300 people to prove his point. But he was wrong, Lyrith continued, stepping forward. Engineer Chen and I stopped him by combining our different strengths. His mechanical expertise and my data analysis, his hands-on approach and my pattern recognition. Separately, we would have failed. Together, we succeeded. That's what this department is about, Marcus said. Not about humans or Valxians being better. About all of us being better together. A Valxian engineer named Sixler raised one of his hands. And what if we cannot work together? What if our approaches are too different? Then you learn, Marcus said simply. You teach each other. You find ways to bridge the gaps. That's what Learith and I had to do. It wasn't easy. It's still not easy sometimes. But it works. And if we fail? Asked a human engineer named Rodriguez. Then we try again, Learith answered. Failure is part of learning. But giving up, refusing to even try, that is the real failure. The meeting continued for another hour. Marcus and Learith assigned the initial teams and laid out their first projects, small things to start. Diagnostic reviews of secondary systems. Nothing critical, just enough to get people working together as the team dispersed to their new workstations. Marcus noticed that most people were still staying in their human or Valaxian groups. Old habits. This would take time. The first week was difficult. The mixed teams struggled to communicate. Humans worked fast and intuitive, making changes on the fly. Valxians worked methodically, following careful procedures. Both sides got frustrated with each other. Marcus and Learith spent their days moving between teams, mediating disputes, translating not just language but approach and philosophy. They're never going to get along, Marcus said one evening, exhausted. He and Learith were in their shared office, reviewing the day's progress reports. They will, Learith said, with more confidence than she felt. We did. We had no choice. We were forced together by that whole reward situation. Perhaps that is what they need, Learith mused. A problem that forces them to work together or fail. Marcus looked at her. Are you suggesting we create a crisis? Nothing dangerous, Learith said quickly, but perhaps a challenge. Something that requires both human and Valxian strengths to solve. Something that proves the value of integration. Marcus thought about it. It was risky. But doing nothing wasn't working either. Okay, he said. Let's do it. He spent the next 2 days designing a simulation. A complex engineering problem that involved both mechanical systems and data analysis. Multiple interconnected failures that would require fast, intuitive responses and careful methodical planning. On the third day, they presented it to the team. This is a simulation of a station-wide environmental crisis, Marcus explained. Multiple systems failing in cascade. You have 4 hours to identify the root cause and implement a solution. The teams that solve it fastest will be recognized. But here's the catch. No team can solve this alone. You'll need to share information and coordinate approaches. The competition began. At first, teams tried to work independently. The human teams jumped straight into repairs without fully understanding the problem. The Valxian teams spent too much time analyzing without taking action. An hour passed. No team had made real progress. Marcus and Learith watched from their office, monitoring the teams through the observation screens. They're still not working together, Marcus said. Wait, Learith pointed at one screen. Look at that team. It was a mixed group. A young human engineer named Tasha and a Valxian analyst named Kexan. Tasha was explaining something quickly, using hand gestures. Kexan was listening carefully, then pulling up data on his screen. She's showing him the mechanical relationship between the systems, Learith observed, and he's showing her the data patterns that indicate the root cause. They watched as Tasha and Kexan began coordinating. She would identify a physical problem. He would analyze the data to predict the consequences. Together, they started making real progress. After 2 hours, other teams noticed. They started asking Tasha and Kexan questions. Soon, multiple teams were sharing information, combining human intuition with Valxian analysis. 3 hours in, the solution emerged. Not from one team, but from the collective effort of multiple groups working together. They identified the root cause, a corrupted algorithm that was causing cascade failures. They implemented a fix that combined quick mechanical bypasses with careful system recalibration. When the simulation ended, everyone was exhausted. But there was also excitement in the room. Marcus stood before them again. What you just did in 3 hours would have taken days if you'd worked separately. Some of you probably still don't like this arrangement. Some of you probably still think your way is better. But you can't argue with results. It's what we can accomplish together, Lyrith added. This is why this department exists. Not to make humans more like Valxians, or Valxians more like humans, but to help each of you be better by learning from each other. Rodriguez, the skeptical human engineer, raised his hand. I still think this is going to be difficult. It will be, Marcus agreed. But maybe that's okay, Rodriguez continued, surprising everyone. Maybe difficult is worth it if it produces results like today. Several team members nodded. Even Sixler, the Valxian who had questioned the whole concept, looked thoughtful rather than dismissive. We're not saying everything is perfect now, Marcus said. You'll still have frustrating days. You'll still have disagreements. But you've proven you can work through those challenges. You've proven the concept works. Over the next month, the department found its rhythm. Teams still struggled sometimes, but they were learning. Human engineers started taking more time to analyze before acting. Valxian analysts started trusting intuitive leaps backed by experience. The results spoke for themselves. System failures across the station continued to drop. Problems were caught earlier and solved faster. Other departments started requesting consultations from the joint teams. One day, Commander Vexrel called Marcus and Lyrith to his office. The station council has reviewed your department's performance, he said. The results are exceptional. System reliability is up 47%. Response times to problems have improved by 62%. And most importantly, crew cooperation ratings have improved across the entire station. That's good to hear, Commander, Marcus said. It's more than good. It's revolutionary. Dexral pulled up a star map on his screen. There are 15 other stations in this sector. All of them have mixed human and Valxian crews. All of them struggle with the same integration problems we had. The Council wants to expand your model to other stations. Lyrit's eyes widened. You want us to help other stations build joint departments? Eventually, yes. But first, we want you to document everything. Your methods, your training approaches, your solutions to common problems. We want to create a template that other stations can follow. That's a big project, Marcus said, which is why you'll have support. Additional staff, resources, whatever you need. Vexral looked at them seriously. What you've built here is more than just an efficient department. You've proven that humans and Valxians can truly integrate, that our differences make us stronger, not weaker. That's worth spreading. After they left the commander's office, Marcus and Lyrith walked back to their department in silence, processing what they'd just heard. We're going to change how humans and Valxians work together across multiple stations, Lyrith said finally. That's enormous, and Marcus agreed. Kinda scary when you think about it. They stopped outside their department. Through the windows, they could see their team working. Humans and Valxians sitting together, talking, sharing ideas, solving problems. Do you remember that first night? Lyrith asked quietly. When I came to your quarters and said I was your reward, I remember wanting you to leave, Marcus admitted. I remember thinking the whole situation was impossible. And now, Marcus looked at her. Now I can't imagine working without you. Now I think that awkward, uncomfortable situation was the best thing that could have happened to both of us. Not because of the traditions it followed, Lyrith said. No, because of the traditions it broke. Marcus smiled. Because it forced us to find our own way? To build something new based on choice and respect rather than obligation and honor. And now we're helping others do the same, Lyrith said. Building new traditions. Better traditions, together, Marcus added.
Nice.
Always together, Lyrith agreed. They entered their department. Rodriguez called out a question about a diagnostic report. Sixler was explaining something to Tasha, using the careful, patient tone he'd developed for working with human engineers. Kexon was laughing at something another team member said. The sound mixing human and Valxian voices in easy camaraderie. This was what they had built. Not a human department or a Valxian department, but something new. Something better. Marcus went to help Rodriguez while Arethe moved to review Kexan's analysis. They worked through the afternoon, solving problems, answering questions. Guiding their team, as the day shift ended, the team began leaving for their quarters. But several stayed behind, working on projects that interested them. Human and Valxian, sitting together naturally now, the awkwardness mostly gone. "We did good," Marcus said to Lyreath as they prepared to leave for the night. "We did," she agreed, "and we'll do better tomorrow." They walked through the station corridors together. Other crew members nodded to them respectfully. Word had spread about what the joint department was accomplishing, about how the odd pair, the human engineer and his Valxian partner, had changed the station for the better. At the junction where their quarters diverged, they paused. "Same time tomorrow?" Marcus asked. "Same time," Lyreath confirmed. "We have that meeting with the training division about expanding the program. Right. And the diagnostic review for the docking systems, and Rodriguez wanted help with the atmospheric processor analysis." They smiled at each other. Always more work. Always more challenges. But they faced them together now, without hesitation, without doubt. "Good night, Marcus," Lyreath said. "Good night, Lyreath." They went to their separate quarters. But they weren't separate anymore, not really. They were partners, equals co-builders of something that would outlast them both outside the station. Stars wheeled in their ancient patterns. Inside, humans and Valxians worked side by side, learning that their differences weren't barriers to overcome, but strengths to combine. And it all started because one stubborn human refused to accept a reward, and one brave Valxian agreed to find a better way. Together, they had built not just a department, but a future.